MP released from prison after Supreme Court sets aside sentencing. Manam Islanders call for passing of bill after minor eruption. And Port Moresby to host Southern Confederate zone trials.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
Thank you for joining us. This is Sunday's news. Jailed Como Magarima MP Francis Potape has been released from the Bomana Correctional Institute. On Friday, a three-man Supreme Court bench allowed Potape's appeal, quashed his conviction and set aside his sentence. He was jailed by the National Court in 2014 for allegedly misusing public funds of more than 300,000 kina.
After serving 7 months in prison, the Como Magarima MP was set free on Friday. Relatives, family and friends waited for Mr. Potape to welcome him back since being sentenced last year by the National Court. The three-man bench led by Chief Justice Sir Salamo Inji allowed for appeal and suppressed Potape's sentence. Outside the court, MP Potape said justice has prevailed.
The way they saw it today is that the punishment, the outcome was not the way it should have been. Whereas my case is JDB's decision, but I've been penalized. And today the Supreme Court, the highest court on the land, set me free.
The Como Magarima MP said the work of men have sent him to prison, leaving the people suffering.
The biggest losers in all of this thing are my people.
Potape said though the matter will be remitted to the National Court for retrial, he is ready to continue where he left.
We have to move Como Magarima district forward again. Yes. I want to say that when I was in prison in the last 7 months, I never moved any Como Magarima money. All the monies are there. I said, if I lose, the next member must touch the money and do the job.
Potape was released on a 1,000 bail condition and will appear for mention at the National Court on 7th September 2015. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has thanked members of the National Parliament for constructive debate that has seen significant legislation passed in the chamber over the past 2 weeks. At the conclusion of 2 weeks of sitting, the Prime Minister O'Neill said the nation's 9th Parliament is delivering groundbreaking legislation that is ensuring development and stability. He said legislation was debated and passed in the July sitting, which are important for our people and communities. Among these legislations, the organic law on the Sovereign Wealth Fund. The National Parliament has now adjourned until October the 27th. As people in the Manam and Bogia recover from the shock of Friday's minor eruption of the Manam volcano, representatives are calling for the Manam Restoration Authority bill to be passed by Parliament. A Manam delegation travelled to Port Moresby for the Parliament session, expecting the bill to be passed but returned highly disappointed yesterday. Falling rocks from Friday's eruption injured a teenager as he was returning home from school.
17-year-old Peter Magubia was running home from school when the volcano erupted just before midday on Friday. As he entered the family home on the island, a rock struck him on the head and he fell unconscious. He was brought to Bogia late Friday when the volcanic activity subsided.
Time I come back from place, I go inside long house. Okay, Stony come down, broke him head, broke him now, I put on go inside long house.
Peter is now being cared for at the Bogia Health Center, but with limited resources, the skeleton staff are thankful that the eruption didn't develop into a major disaster like that of 1996 and 2004. Adam Deck, a health worker at the center, saw the horrors of the 1994 eruption when a mass burial of 12 people was conducted.
Planting place alim golo madang mo kata planting dai. As 12 place straight kam time likamnya nonga time long digim hole na desolason. Beko kamna. Da digim hole on top of Holy Spirit Mountain long Catholic mission nong hap. O kata 12 place go all planning in set lo one pla hole long.
No major disaster this time, but if it had happened on Friday, this health center would not have been able to handle a disaster of that magnitude. And you can see the years of neglect on this government facility. No power, no running water, no mattresses on the beds. It's part of a district system that is crumbling because of a lack of support. Beyond the disaster preparedness, there's a humanitarian crisis developing. Some 10,000 Manam Islanders who continue to live in what used to be care centers have no certainty about their future. The legislation governing their resettlement still hasn't been passed as Parliament continues to drag its feet.
We were promised in November or December of last year when we were down to see the Prime Minister, we were assured by the Chief Secretary that the Manam Resettlement Bill will go through in the first sitting of Parliament in 2015, and that was in February of this year. A delegation went down to witness that, and that didn't happen.
Scott Waide, National MTV News, Medang.
United States Secretary of State John Kerry has expressed the U.S. government's condolence on the passing of former Prime Minister of Vanuatu, Edward Natapei, this week. Secretary Kerry, in a statement, said Vanuatu made great strides in increasing governmental transparency under the leadership of the former Prime Minister. The Secretary said late Natapei, in his capacity as chair of the Pacific Islands Forum in 2010, advocated forcefully for the invigorated cooperation in counter-terrorism measures and the fight against transnational organized crime. Improper planning and selling of land around Port Moresby is putting a strain on city authorities to properly plan the city. NCD Governor Powes Pakop is raising concerns over landowners selling land with no plan for development.
The Taurama Valley outside Port Moresby is one suburb that is growing but has a poor urbanization plan. Landowners are selling off the land with limited plans for road, sewage, electricity and water supply into the settlement. NCD Governor Powes Pakop raised this concern in Parliament last week.
Nokat sabi na olman meri wokim kain goy kam. How about me planning this lab ken? Road by Golsenem na wara na surich by Golsenem. People like a disaster lo this lab here so.
State land in Port Moresby is almost fully occupied. Governor Pakop has asked Lands Minister Benny Allen if the state has plans to lease traditional land for the development of the city.
Minister na department land all got plan long, buy him or lease him ground long all customary landowners so that you can extend him cities na town in an organized way. Instead of old man Mary gonna walk it deal kind here and there.
You need to go out and find more ground law. You may extend him a city in a town law you may.
Improper planning and selling of land has affected the city's development. Landowners are cautioned to plan properly and not to sell off the land quickly on cheap prices. Quinton Alomp, National MTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has confirmed that a foreign fishing vessel has been detained in Papua New Guinea for carrying people believed to be the victims of human trafficking. The 8 people rescued are of Cambodian and Myanmar nationality and are now being accommodated in a safe location until further arrangements are made. Prime Minister O'Neill said the government was alerted that the vessel, Blissful Reefer, was in PNG waters with forced labourers on board. The boat's 19 crew, including the captain, were brought to Port Moresby for further questioning. Prime Minister O'Neill said PNG will engage with regional partners to establish a network to track and detain vessels with slaves on board. You're watching National MTV News. Among stories after the break, Port Moresby General Hospital receives support from the Malaysian Association. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says the government will be looking to ban firearms in the country. Mr. O'Neill said he will speak to the Police Department and the Office of the Chief Secretary to legislate laws on this matter. Talks between the 3 parties are expected to begin in the coming weeks.
The issue, initially raised by Enga Governor Peter Ipatas in Parliament on Friday, draws the attention to the increase in criminal activities in the country.
Guns should be outlawed.
Governor Ipatas questioned the government on the status of the firearms report and asked when the report will be tabled in Parliament. He said a number of law and other issues have occurred because of the use of guns and wants guns to be outlawed in Papua New Guinea.
There's no need to carry guns. If we can outlaw guns, it will go a long way in maintaining law and order.
The issue on firearm possession has been ongoing between the government, the police department and PNG citizens. Early this year, a number of deaths have occurred from the use of guns in Morobe, East Sepik and the nation's capital. This has led to the police department coming under public scrutiny and the creation of the firearms report.
We have now talked to the police commissioner and his management team. that we should now get all the firearms back into the armory.
While talks between the three parties are yet to begin, the three disciplinary forces have proven that firearms are not needed to carry out major security operations in PNG. This was seen during the 2015 Pacific Games in Port Moresby.
Control the crowd because of the respect they had in the uniform, Mr. Speaker.
Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Malaysian Gulf Day has continued its support towards the Port Moresby General Hospital operations with the donation of 2 new buses. Port Moresby General Hospital Chief Executive Grant Muddle says the bus will help its daily operations. Muddle says due to the demand and shift of nurses and doctors, the buses will ease transport woes so health workers will attend to their duties.
Without these buses, we would not be able to pick up the staff quickly and efficiently, and sometimes we weren't able to accommodate enough staff on a particular shift and pick up, meaning they'd have to find their own way here.
I urge all the Malaysians and all others institutions here coming forward to support this worthy charity fundraising.
To contribute something for the good and benefit of the people, particularly in the health sectors.
The National Court has cleared former Jimmy MP Wake Goy of the alleged misappropriation of 13 million kina. Goy was taken to court in 2012 for the apparent use of district funds as the member for Jimmy. The National Court ruled Mr. Goy was cleared in a no-case submission.
The public can know that the 13 million that Jimmy Oltok me funds me probably I mean not true. I mean not true. So now the case is over. I'm a free man.
West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthuvel says funds allocated to districts in a province must consider the population of people. Governor Muthuvel said despite receiving his 2014 Provincial Support Improvement Programme funds, little but fair work has been achieved. He made these statements following the presentation of 2014 PSIP acquittals to the Office of Rural Development recently.
Governor Muthuvel expressed to ORD Secretary Paul Sai the need for more consideration when appropriating funds to districts. While praising the government for increasing funds to district levels, he also challenged it to improve current systems in order to see impacts of these funds.
There must be a justification, the fair distribution of funds, just not based purely on the number of districts where we are totally disadvantaged. Because of the 2 districts, we only received 10 million kina to West New Britain.
West New Britain's 2014 PSIP funds were prioritized in the areas of education, health, roads and law and order. Governor Muthuvel says West New Britain has a growing population because of the oil palm industry in the province.
That 10 million kina is spread too thin. So I can't really see a major road I have done or major big buildings I have done, like big projects which we are witnessing in some other provinces and especially in the city.
Governor Muthuvel is among the many MPs who comment on government's appropriation of funds to province and the work these funds can make.
We would like to see more of the comments by leaders.
Secretary Sai said ORD will allow for comments from MPs to create a conducive pathway to help provinces bring the much needed change in their districts.
We'll give you this status, that's the status, and how do we move forward, and you give us the guidance to how do we move forward.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Port Moresby's Kone Oval to host Southern Zone Trials. That story and more when we return.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Port Moresby's Connie Tigers Oval is set to host the Southern Confederate Zone Trials with 6 provincial and district teams registered to take part. The trials will begin on the 10th of August and will run for 4 days. Jeremy Mogi reports.
The zone trials for the Southern Confederate will see teams coming from Milne Bay, Oro, Gulf, Western and the Central Province and select sides from the National Capital District. And divisions will include an under 18 and 20 as well as women's and senior men's, with Southern Confederate Chairman Gwaibo Mairi happy with preparations so far.
Port Moresby Rugby League is our Premier League, but of course we've got Suburban as well that is coming up in Pom South. And we're not going to, underestimate our other rural teams and the provincial teams. But there's one team that is going to be very, very tough coming in from the outside would be the Hiri team.
These trials will also give an opportunity for administrators such as Billy Aki, president of the NCD Suburban League, to showcase their hospitality.
I'm really happy with the director, Gaiwa, like him, Ibrahim. I think we've been established long time league in challenge, but we are running league now 8 years now. So after the 8 years straight, Southern Region director gave him hosting Southern Region Championship for the Tigers.
PNG-RFL Chairman Sandy Sakas has also made mention that with the unavailability of the SP Hunters during the month of September, these trials offer a shot at the big time for many of PNG's newer talent.
With the Hunters giving us that elite platform for elite athletes, and they're playing in the Interest Cup, we've decided to use the TM13 to showcase our next lot of young talent coming through, which ideally, if you look back 2 years ago, that is our national squad. But we've decided to give the opportunity to our Digital Cup players and our affiliate league players throughout Papua New Guinea.
Conclusion of the Southern Confederation trials will see the other 3 regions host their own, and many of these players will be vying for the coveted Kumul jersey. Jeremy Mogi, National, EMTV Sports.
Port Moresby's AFL competition continued today at the University of Papua New Guinea's Oval. The season has 4 women's teams compete and has the hopes of having an increase in the number of women playing AFL in the coming years.
Today's matches saw 2 women's games between Kokofa and the Lamana Dockers, and the CPL Magpies took on the University Tigers. The Kokofa women proved too strong in their contest against the Dockers, taking an early lead and leading all throughout the contest. Kokofa went on to win the match, outclassing their opposition 36 points to 9. In the second women's match, the CPL Magpies took on the might of the University Tigers. The Magpies started the match very strongly, keeping the Tigers scoreless in the first and second quarter. The Tigers managed to score their only goal of the match in the third quarter, while the Magpies continued to dominate, winning the match 26 points to 7. In the men's A grade, the Central Bombers played off against the CPL Magpies. In an entertaining contest, it was an evenly matched game which went all the way down to the wire. The Central Bombers held on to win the match narrowly, 17 points to 21. The competition will head into the finals in the next 4 weeks, with the Kobanis on top of the ladder. Dion Kombang, National, EMTV Sports.
And that's all we have for Trukai Sports. We'll bring you all the weather details when we return.
Trukai Sports.
And here's a look at the weather for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, all centers to expect fine weather. In the Bomana region, Ley mostly fine, although partly cloudy at times. Medang and Wewak becoming cloudy with chances of light showers, and thundery showers expected in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, Kavieng, Rabaul and Kokopo, you can expect a few showers, partly cloudy at times with chance of light showers in Lorengau, and cloudy with a few showers for Buka. And in the Highlands region, all centers to expect cloudy weather with chances of light showers. And that has been the news, sports and weather for today, Sunday, the 2nd of August 2015. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a top working week. Good night.